to show you how you can create a simple hover card that will swap the background image when you hover. So let's take a look at the basic HTML. So first off, let's just kind of make our first framework, the base of it. I'm going to use the class here, call it background hover card. Okay. Then the next element that I'll need in there will be one of the images, and I'll show you why in a moment. Div class equals, and let's kind of do a shortcut as a background hover card, and this will be our hover image. And since this will just have a background element, I'll put it like that. Cleaner HTML. Then the next is we have a spot for our text. Background hover card text. Okay. This is text goes. Okay, so that's our HTML. Very simple, kind of basic. So then the next, let's kind of make our send up our card. So we have our first class, the BG hover card, and we're going to just give it a position, relative, width, 100%, max width of 450 pixels, margin. I only put the top bar margin 10 pixels for now just to give a little bit of space, but depending on how you're using it, you might want to have it set to 0. And then auto, this just makes it so then it's centered within your container. In this case, it's the page. And then, so then we can see where it is. Let's go background, color. There we go. So there we are. Doesn't really look much like a card or a square or anything right now. So to make sure that it's a square, we're actually going to use the before pseudo element. So go hover card before. Now in order for this to actually work, we have to use content. And we just fill it with nothing. We're going to say position relative, and we're going to give this a display of block, width 100%, and then padding, we're going to do 100%. Okay. Very good. Padding, oh sorry, not padding all the way, padding top. We only want to do the top. There we go. That's what we have. So now, still we have our text. It's not really where we want it either. So let's work on that next. So we have BG hover card text. I'm going to say position absolute. I'm going to have top 50%. Transform. Translate Y minus 50%. Oh, how am I doing that? Minus 50%. There we go. And just to give it a little bit of support, although most browsers now kind of support the transform, but just in case somebody's using a really old browser, we could do this. There we go. So now let's also make it centered. Text line, center, and then we want to do width 90%, and let's do a margin 0.5%. So that way we know our text is right in the center. Again, just to make it look a little bit nicer, font size of 24 pixels, and we'll do font family sans serif. So it uses the systems sans serif. But of course, if we're using Google or Google Fonts or something, we'd put that in there and change it out. Okay, so now we have a nice card. It's centered. and also it's responsive. So if we kind of made this smaller, our text is always centered. So that's one of the nice features of it. Okay, so now the next is we're going to get to is our background image. So first, to do our background image, we're going to put the image here, just style equals, then background image, and we're going to be Euro. And for this, I'm just using the images from Pixum Photos, so then I don't have to upload any of my own, since it's just for a test. And there we go, background image there. Now, actually, I want to put this on our main one. So this is like our image that we're, there we go. This is the image that, we're going to show when we're on hover. Okay? So the image that we'll show, or this image that we want to show on hover, we'll add that here within our next one. So if I even just did style background, and let's just give it another number so a different image shows up. And right now we're not seeing that image. So now what we want to do is we want to fix the Z index. This is kind of helping us with the layers. So I'm going back to our text. Let's give us a Z index of 20. So this will 20. This will be the top of everything. Our before element, and I'm going to give this a Z index of 15. And I'll show you why I'm putting this above as well. 15. And then, just so we can, the next one is we're going to do our BG hover card hover image. And this would be position absolute, top 0, left 0, width 100%, height 100%, display lock, Z index 10. I put a V instead of a C. That's why it's not showing. There we go. So now we see that image. So we have the basic settings. One thing I like to do just for styling, because you can't really read the text at all. So I'm going to make this text white. And you could decide to do it the other way if you want. And background here, RGB, and 6. So now, a little darker. Let's go 75. There we go. So you can see the image behind, you can see your text. There we go. Now, we want to make a change when we do a hover. So here we want it when we hover the hover card. Like that. So do hover, and then we want our image here to be, we're going to say opacity 1. Having trouble spelling today. Opacity 1. There we go. Now, our next one here, what we're going to do is change this to opacity 0. So now we hover, but it's very choppy. It's very blunt kind of thing. So we want to add a little transition into it. Transition, opacity, 0.4 seconds. And again, for some of the compatibility, now depending on what you're using, it might actually even already add this for you. If you're using some kind of compiler, it'll add these. So there we go. Now you hover, nice little hover effect like that, and you can see the different images. Now The thing is, this isn't a link, so that's why we don't have image showing up. If we wanted to change this to a link, well, again, we could say href here, up here, and automatically change the end tag. So like that. And there we go. Done. And we'll probably have to change this to display block. Yeah, because by default, an A tag doesn't have any display settings. It's just nothing. So we have to either give an inline block or block. In this case, we put a block, and there we go. Now, it could be a link. We could link it to a page. One thing I always like to add is some little call to action so that you see the text change. So that's what I'll show you how to do here. So again, if we change, maybe take our text, and we call this our CTA. And we call this here, learn more. That's what we want to call it. Well, what we're going to do is first off, hit overflow hidden on our main element. So anything outside of it isn't going to show. But we still see our little learn more down there. So let's kind of put this down here. And we go position absolute. We want C index of 25. We want it above everything. Font size of 16 pixels. It's small. Give it a color of white, and let's say for the color that we'll choose for that, maybe a nice blue, or there you go. Boom. Width 100%. Bottom, because we want it at the bottom. 0. I'm going to say left. 0. Padding of, let's say, 10 pixels and nothing on the side. And text align center. Then to give it a little bit of style and text transform, uppercase. And of course we want family sans serif so it matches. Okay, but now that's kind of visible. We don't really want it visible until we hover, right? So what we do, we add transform, translate Y 100%. Here, and then we also want a nice transition. In this case, we're going to just say all 0.4 seconds. And again, we could add that compatibility. Moz is for Firefox and WebKit browsers, just to make sure that we're supporting some of the people using old browsers. So there we go. Now let's make it appear. So here up top, remember we had our hover and we put our class. So I'm just going to kind of steal that because I'm being lazy. I don't want to type it all. And here, change this to our CTA. Then transform. Actually, I could just even steal from up here. Boom. And then we just change this to 0. And I'm going to save all this because I'm getting 100 plus unsaved changes. So there we go. Now when we hover, Not only do we see the learn more, but we also see the new image. So a nice little hover text effect. Something very simple, easy to design, and of course if you want to change the colors, change it all in with inside so that it's nice and easy to use. Alright, well, be sure to subscribe and share what you enjoyed here.